It's May 25th, 2019.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Dugout. The Dugout is a weekly podcast about fantasy baseball. It involves 3 or 4 people who may or may not be able to attend due to a wide variety of potential technological challenges. I am your introductory host. I am the 5-minute professor. I am ensconced comfortably in my office in Maitland, Florida, where there may or may not be a train 30 yards from where I'm sitting right now at any moment during the program. All the way across the country, Stevie Yo, who will not beat me at fantasy baseball until next week, and the man, the myth, the legend for which all of this is named, the one and only urban baboon. It is Doug Boyle.
It wouldn't be Saturday if you weren't tuned into the Dugout, and it's good to have everybody here. The technology was barking at us a little bit, so we started about a minute late, but we're excited for another week of baseball.
Could you hear the train?
Nope, nothing.
I mentioned the train might be right here, and then, as if on schedule, it came.
There's nothing.
Yep. Well, knowing that it's the Sunrail, it'll only show up when you're the next person in line on 436 trying to get to work.
Well, it's not. Listen, Mister. Oh, I'm afraid of mass transit and maybe helping the environment. It was the Amtrak.
Oh, okay.
And we have to call it out here. Stevie O is the new guy, and he forgot to bring donuts.
Sorry, guys, I blew it. I'm trying to get you to eat something healthier, like berries.
Berries.
Screw the donuts.
California. He's just going to bring
I forgot
avocado donuts.
No, he's a berry guy. He works at Knott's Berry Farm or something. He operates the little train ride. No, it's some berry farm. I can't remember which one it is. You guys make that's jam, or what is it just the fruit itself? California makes everything.
Fresh berries. Tell all your friends on the East Coast to eat all the strawberries you can. Help us out here because we flooded the market. So get out there and eat berries, please. That's my PSA for the day. If
you have any questions about the math of fruit, you can reach Stevie Yo at Kinda Not a Joke on Twitter.
That's right. I'll tell you way more than you'd ever want to know about berries, that's for sure.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that here in our segment, which we like to call Just a Bit Outside. Strawberry, not technically a berry, right?
Just a bit outside.
No, I think it is. That's a good.
I thought there was something about the way that it's formed that prevents it from meeting the definition of berry.
Because it has a seed, it would be a fruit, right?
Well, yeah, they're all fruit. All berries have seeds.
But the seeds are on the outside of a strawberry, right?
Yes, the strawberries are a little bit different indeed. I don't know the Webster's definition of a berry, so I'm going to look that up tonight after this podcast. That's for sure. Because that
I'm not waiting until then.
Oh, there you go. What am I saying?
Right now, there's like 4 or 5 guys who turned on this podcast who really are into berries who are turning it off because you just don't know this answer.
I know. What a travesty.
I signed you on here for your berry knowledge. Everyone knows that.
Well, I'll have a monologue all about berries for you next week. But let's talk about baseball today.
Oh yeah, baseball.
Fine.
Now coming up, the worth in fantasy terms of Quintonberry.
No, there was
Quisenberry.
Yeah, Dan Quisenberry is a guy that should be in the Hall of Fame as a reliever. Now they let everybody in. It's like he was really dominant for those years in the 70s, at least one World Series. And his name starts with a Q. They need some more of those guys in the Hall of Fame.
I have excellent news, by the way. We've already solved the problem. The strawberry is not, from a botanical point of view, a berry. Technically, it's an aggregate accessory fruit, meaning the fleshy part is derived not from the plant's ovaries, but from the receptacle that holds the ovaries.
I've always said that the strawberry is my favorite aggregate accessory fruit.
It is 100% my favorite as well.
Yeah.
All right, I like that, and I learned something about berries today, which when I tell my wife, she's gonna laugh. That's for sure, because she thought I knew it all.
Oh, don't tell her. I'm not going to tell her, Stevie, if you're not going to tell her. So let's just keep rolling this lie.
I didn't want to
go. Lord knows she won't be listening to this podcast. So
I didn't want to go too much into detail of this. So I know Brendan's a hockey fan, but we just really can't have the Boston Bruins win the Stanley Cup because the Boston people are already at the maximum level of insufferableness, right? If they get any more insufferable, then something has to be done, right?
I think you're confused because insufferable, like inflammable, means the other word. We are sufferable. We are sufferable.
Well, there's somewhere in Boston, there's a guy who's the only team out of the four that he cares about are the Celtics, and he just feels so bummed out.
All he does all day is dream of Dave Cowens in those really short shorts.
It's amazing that I lived to encounter a week where 93% of America is a St. Louis Blues fan.
Hey, I'm rooting for the Blues, and I'm a Sharks fan, so that'll tell you something.
Yeah. I'm a Blackhawks fan. Can you imagine that? Anyway, baseball time. Go ahead, Brendan. Yeah.
I was about to say, you think you guys are weird. I'm a Habs fan who's rooting for the Bruins. Well, that's just because my dad's a Bruins fan, so, that's pretty much the only reason.
Yeah, I forgot about that. You also have a Boston tie. When I brought Stevie O on, it balanced out the New Englandness of this podcast a little bit. Well, we got a couple people out in the chat room today. There's us, of course, but Lou's out there, Arnie, I think Cha-Cha. So we got some listeners today, and we always thank you guys for showing up.
Make sure when you do post the podcast that you definitely use strawberry as one of the tags. I think that's going to bring in a big group of listeners.
Yeah,
definitely. Don't miss out on an opportunity like that, Doug.
Yeah, and as Central Floridans, remember every spring at Plant City, Florida, the Strawberry Festival. Come on down. Anyway. At noon today, Lucas.
I've been to Plant City many times. Never for that festival, but for the berry business. So.
They used to have the Reds minor league team there, and I used to go down there for that. But that was like 15, 18 years ago. Lucas baseball today at noon. That's the only show on the schedule today. Lenny will be back Monday at 9 a.m. He said something about a big announcement. I'm looking forward to hearing that. And I'll put this out next Thursday. I'll probably be on at 10 o'clock at night with Dan Gilbert. Pending, of course, on his schedule. If you want to join us, if you're listening by the podcast, and we thank you for being out there, join us at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com. It's got a free interactive chat room where people can ask questions. We have some of us that are not speaking on the air are talking to those guys right now, and it's great for this and for all the other shows. Anything else, guys?
And as one further promotion for the network, I've been reading the chats. I've been reading the comments. I've taken all of your feedback to heart, and I want you to know that I am not heard on any other show on this network. So you're probably going to enjoy it. It'll be fine.
You can find the professor at every podcast in the free world. Just tune into one. You'll probably hear him on that. But he's got a show on the End FM. He's got a show about boating. He's got a show about. I think you have a show about knitting. There's a show about...
I don't have a show about knitting. I have a show about diving.
Oh, cool.
And I do a politics show, and I do live trivia.
So when do we get to start our berry podcast, Bill?
You know what? It's actually going to be a baseball and berry podcast, and it's going to be Baseball's Been Very, Very Good to Me.
Perfect.
That's
I love
our podcast.
That's a great
All right, I love it.
So look for that as part of the Dugout sub-network of the Legend Network. Very, very good. Well, today we have the Rundown with Steve. The Rundown is brought to you by the letter H and the letter N. Because if you throw an H in the Dugout and change the one letter to an N, you get donut. And I have donuts on my mind this morning for some unknown reason. It's probably because I stopped drinking soda and I got a sugar thing. So... You ready to go? You ready to go?
Yeah, here.
Whatever your name is.
I'm still trying to figure out why we're throwing letters into a dugout.
Dougout is when I read dugout, I see donut. You know, it's like when
you need to have cancel this podcast and schedule a regular meeting with someone.
right across the street from where you live, there's that place that it's called like the Sourdough Cafe. Really awesome place. And all I see there is Sour Doug. I mean, you see your name everywhere, right? I don't know. Anyway,
no.
Regular meetings. That's what you need. You need to go to a place with a couch at least once a week.
You need Jesus, Doug. You need Jesus. All right. Here's the rundown. It's Stevie O here. I've got everything that you need, that Doug wants you to know today. We got some call-ups, not quite as big as last week, but a couple big names here. CJ's little brother Kevin Cron was called up by the Diamondbacks. The Padres called up first baseman Josh Naylor, and son of Craig Biggio, Kevin, was called up by the Blue Jays. He's playing second base for them.
I mean, the Kevin and Crone Biggio and Crone are two big names call up. I know that Kevin Biggio is owned by the professor in our league in his minors. As excited as you are for Biggio, Kevin Crone has hit 21 home runs in 44 games this year. I'm surprised that he's not the guy they're going for. And surprisingly enough, in our league, he's not actually owned because I don't know what, but I think he's I think he's as good as CJ Crone. Get you a lot of home runs. The Josh Naylor one is simply for the interleague games. I wouldn't go nuts on that one. Maybe he plays well enough to buy some more time, but they got no room at first.
All right, and I'm holding on to Biggio in that league from the supplemental draft, so hopefully he can come around, do something for me.
Oh, is it you?
There.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so the Indians called up catcher Eric Hayes. The Twins called up Luis Arias, an infielder. Mariners brought back Tommy Malone, who actually had a quality start against the Rangers earlier this week. And just today, Houston called up big-time prospect Derek Fisher.
Yeah, Derek Fisher is probably the biggest name in this bunch, and we'll talk about it later, but Altuve is probably going to the DL, and he's the guy that's going to replace them. I know everybody was waiting on Jordan Alvarez, who's hitting like 500.
Point of order.
What?
Point of order. He's going on the IL. Point of order.
He's going to Illinois. That's where they all go to get better, I guess. Springfield's nice this time of year. Louis, I think these other guys are people that you need to overlook. Luis Arias is a 330 career hitter in the minors. At every step of the way, he's hit 300 or better. Not a lot of power there, not a lot of speed, but he's hit 300 or better at every stop that he's gone to, no matter how small it was, except for one where he hit 298 at Double-A. He's somebody that shouldn't be overlooked. And Eric Haas is a power hitting catcher that is reminiscent of a Mike Zunino. So if Zunino had worth to you, then he's got worth.
All right. So now we have some guys that just got called back up. Arizona recalled Ildemaro Vargas and outfielder Tim LaCastro. Cincinnati brought back Josh Van Meter. And the Angels brought back Luis Rengifo. And Mariners brought back up Shed Long. He keeps waffling back and forth, it sounds like.
Just 2 weeks ago, Shed Long came up, and everyone went nuts in the fab bids, and then he got sent down. Now he's back. You got to know these guys are back. I think that I can't remember which ones you named.
It should be written down somewhere.
Yeah, Ildemaro Vargas gone back and forth. Josh Van Meter. These are all guys to know, but they're deeper leagues guys. All right, move.
All right, so the Miami Marlins brought back up Austin Dean. Sky Bolt got called back up by Oakland. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. was called back up by Toronto and homered last night. Lane Thomas was called back up by St. Louis.
Yeah, Gurriel's back up. He's a guy that I've liked since before the season started. He actually got the start in the outfield to get around the yip thing. He hit a home run last night, and he did field 2 balls and threw them correctly to the player. Austin Dean's another guy I talked about since before the start of the season. He got sent down, and he only in his